Mr. Godrej, the marketplace over the next year, I mean, the fact is that over the last 2-3 years, one segment of the market that has grown, irrespective, is the rural marketplace, because new incomes have made them consumers, and that's really where the growth is. How does that define how innovation is going to be driven in a company like Godrej? The bottom of the pyramid is something that you talk very often of. How is innovation going to permeate down there? And how much of your focus in the company is innovation for that?
It's very important, because we must remember that the rural market, as far as consumer products or any product, until about 15 years ago, there was a very small market. Because until then, most rural folk could barely keep body and soul together. It's the improved productivity, agricultural productivity, improved government programs in the rural areas, etc., that has led to discretionary income. And I would say discretionary income over the last 10 years may have grown even at 20% per annum. In other words, what you spend beyond just keeping body and soul together might be increasing at 20%. So rural consumption of many items has grown dramatically. And we must remember, even in things like consumer products, in India, there are only 3 consumer products which are fully penetrated. That means every family uses it: soaps, detergents, and matchsticks. Everything else, toothpaste, shampoo, not everybody uses. Why? Because affordability. So if you give products, reasonably good products, at an affordable price, or say at an affordable unit price, because in rural India, most people are paid by the day. So they don't have too much money in. They can only buy small packages. If you can innovate, if you can provide the product, bottom of the pyramid, as you rightly put it, is extremely important, then you can be very successful.
And a lot of your energies are going there, right?
Absolutely. And then if you are successful there, you can take it to other parts of the developing world, because they have a similar situation, whether it's Africa, other parts of Asia, even some parts of South America. I think you can be very successful.
Dr. Sharma, I introduced you saying that Lupin has been the darling of the markets in the last year, because you've really been getting a lot of things right. What can people expect from Lupin, and how do you keep that pace going? Because that puts tremendous pressure. I mean, success puts tremendous pressure on replicating that success, right?
Yeah, I think the better you perform, the more responsibility it puts on you to continue to perform. And I think there is a joy in delivering the responsibility. I think first and foremost you have to build a culture and I think that's what we have invested a lot of time and effort in the company, where people feel happy, working. Execution engine is very strong in Lupin, and I think that has been our success for a long time, because when I joined the company 10 years ago and I used to go and meet investors, everyone used to say to me that you are saying the same thing with Dr. Reddy says and Zydus says and Renbexy says, so what's so different about you, The fact of life is that at the macro level, there's nothing different about a pharma business, but you have pockets of niches like brand in US, a Japan entry, acquisition in South Africa, a conversion of portfolio in India from anti-infective to chronic and critical care, etc., etc. And importantly, we also infused a lot of innovation into the company. So to answer your question, the next 5 to 10 years, I think we are now moving into next orbit of innovation, where the risk-reward axis is shifting substantially, parallelly, where we are going to invest a lot of money in clinical trials. So you make a file of a generic product for $1 million or a $2 million. Now every product will take $5 to $30 million to do. So you're putting that intensity of technology into it, and therefore you're going to have a lot more innovation in the product built in, so that will be the next phase before we really launch ourselves into new chemical entities.
Talent and execution seem to be the two themes that come through in really being able to have innovation deliver. Mr. Venkataraman, you also head the capital goods segment in the National Skills Development Council. I know Larsen has been very aggressively wooing engineers back from the IT sector. That's Mr. Naik's pet theme also. But how do you do that? How do you develop talent, and how do you retain talent? How do you train talent? Because as you've been discussing, the dynamics of business are changing. Retraining has to be part of the entire lexicon.
As I told you earlier, the first part is you must first recruit on merit across India, across spectrum, very capable people at your, and L&T is still a homegrown organization. Most of our major comes through our internal system. Of course, we now also recruit functionally laterals in much larger numbers because the growth. And second part is you have to give them empowerment, challenges, and that innovation culture. Our DNA is, even our whole class's first statement was, we dare to dream, you know. And I remember when I made a loss on some job in my fourth year, fifth year in L&T, in the sense that he said, do you think it was really worth it? So I asked him, why do you asking me, sir, this so many times? Asking me in my promotion interview. He said, no, because you know whether we made money. I said, no, I know, but I know that everybody was all the time asking me what type of costings, why is the cost changing? He said, well, you think it's really worth it? I said, this is what will happen with this learning. He said, and I think it's very good tuition fees. So basically that culture of, encouraging innovation, first recruiting good people, then converting them from, I think one of the good things, NAC has brought many good things, but one of the things is, how do you convert at a particular point in time a good engineer into a business person? Otherwise, L&T was very good at always doing great things in each era. But I think the fact of that, now you got to also worry about making money and not only doing good things. I think that culture of moving you from innovation just not on the product, but innovation on doing things smartly to make money by doing it faster, by doing it. Thirdly, we have a very high-end quality of internal development programs, because attrition is a part of life today, unfortunately. Today, no young person generally wants to decide that he's going to stay in this company forever. So you've got to continue to, I always tell people, great companies are built by people who stay, but then some of them have to stay. So we have a very good internal program of assessment. We also have, we never used to do that so formally before, we have this rating curve now. So it's a sad thing to do, but maybe it's the only thing to do, that where you really formally rate performers in each tier. That doesn't mean that if you are in this tier the best, you have to go through the assessment center again and also show your performance. And also we are giving more PLRs and the differential. So all these, unless you keep doing these things, otherwise we were a welfare state company 15 years ago.
And you can't run a business
basically I think, but everywhere this non-monetary recognition is the crux of innovation. Because people who innovate require a pat on the back, require sort of some icons. We have icons and R3 and all that, where you recognize, senior people come and see what they've done and give them a clap and encourage. And as he said, in each group we do provide a certain amount of money, not in a very formal way like he said, but on what we call developmental projects, where you can't see that result tomorrow. But if you don't do that, you can't tomorrow build a field gun, or you cannot, we have built a nuclear submarine, but a lot of that work was done in R&D on many other areas of disciplines like tribology and machine design and so on. So that culture has to be there, where you believe that the success of keeping people engaged is one of the important elements is innovation.